So in this video, I'm going to quickly cover the basic sales framework that I teach my clients and what I highly recommend that you implement into your business if you want to sign more clients without feeling salesy and have prospects literally thanking you by the time they get off a call, because this is such a powerful process. So the first thing is, whenever you enter into a sales conversation, a lot of people enter these conversations with these preconceived notions of what's best for the client. The reality is you don't know what's best for the client. So enter the conversation as an empty vessel. Excuse me. Enter the conversation as an empty vessel, and your objective is to discover what this prospect who might potentially become a client, what are they dealing with? What's their biggest challenge? What are they struggling with? So the first thing you're gonna do is, so the framework that I teach, by the way, is the DPC sales framework. So the first step is diagnose, then prescribe, then commit. So DPC, diagnose, prescribe, commit. In the diagnose part of the sales process, a lot of people make the mistake is they get on the phone call with a prospect and they think that they're building rapport by having these long drawn out conversations about nonsense. And it doesn't even make sense. You're actually killing rapport when you do that. So you want to limit rapport to about 1 to 2 minutes, 2 minutes max. And you want to jump straight into the nitty gritty aspects of the conversation. Because at the end of the day, these people are getting onto a call because they have a problem and they want to solve that problem. They're not getting on the call because they want to be your best friend. So when they get on the call, you don't want to waste your time and you don't want to waste their time. So just kind of jump right in. Limit rapport to about 1 to 2 minutes. So with that being said, then you're going to set the agenda for the call. This is framing. So there's some people, when they frame the call, they'll say something along these lines, not word for word, but they might say, so the way these calls typically work is I'll approach this conversation kind of like how a doctor would, and I'm going to ask you a few questions. By the end of this conversation, if I determine that we can help you, then I'll go ahead and prescribe you a solution, and we can determine whether or not it's a good fit and whether or not we want to work together. Fair enough? And that's how a lot of people will approach it. I don't say that, but the idea is that you're setting the frame of the call. You're laying out clearly, how will this call take place? What will it look like? And what's the agenda? What's our objective, right? The next thing you're gonna do is dive into discovery. So to make the process short, essentially discovery is you identifying what are their biggest challenges, their struggles, and where's their destination? What's their goal and their objective, their dreams? What are they hoping to achieve? What are their short-term objectives? What are their long-term objectives? Why are those objectives important to their professional life and to their personal life? Once you've done those things, you can typically move into prescribing the solution. So you've probed, you've asked questions, you figured out, what's going on, what their situation is, and now it's, you're prescribing the solution. Now, before you actually prescribe the solution, you wanna get clarity on how they feel in the process. Do they have any more questions for you? Do they feel like there's anything else that they need to share with you before you move on? And if the answer is they're ready to go, they don't have any more questions, they don't have anything else that they want to discuss, then you want to solicit their permission to basically pitch them. And when they've given you their permission, what you're going to do is actually present your offer as the quickest, fastest, simplest solution to get them their outcome. And the reality is you'll know by this point in the conversation whether or not your offer is the right thing for them. So if it's the right thing for them, and you've determined that, you prescribe it as such. So so at this point, you're just gonna basically 3-pillar pitch them. And what I mean by 3-pillar pitch is you're going to wanna break down your process into 3 key pillars that's important for them. Now, it's customized to every single person because each person's situation can be very different. So you don't want to pitch the same thing to every person. You want to pitch, as long as it's like actually your process, you pitch your process in context of their situation. So for example, typically the majority of my clients, they're struggling with, typically the majority of my clients follow the same 3 pillars, which is, you're going to come in, dial in your offer, we're going to launch your ads, and we're going to dial in your setting and sales process. That's typically how it works. But with some people, they may need to focus more on A than they do on B. And if you're in the fitness coaching space, for example, the offer might be, okay, we're going to dial in your nutrition plan. We're going to launch your weekly workout routine. And then the third thing we're going to do is get you set up with an accountability program and get you into our systems so that we're able to communicate back and forth, right? Whatever it is. The point is that you're going to contextualize your 3 to 4 pillars in context to their situation. For example, if somebody's really thirsty and they come to a restaurant, you're not going to say, hey, like, so would you like some peanuts, some salty peanuts, right? It's like, no, they want something to drink, right? You're not going to say, if somebody's starving, you're not going to say, hey, I have some water for you. You're going to offer them food because that's what they need, right? So that's what you're going to do. With that being said, you're just going to tie down and go ahead and get their permission, but not their permission, get their commitment, and then take payment on the call. That way they're fully committed and they don't get off the call, and go back to their old way of thinking and just never actually change the problem that they got on the call with you to solve. So with that being said, that's the DPC sales framework in a nutshell. And go ahead and implement this into your business. I guarantee it will transform the way you're doing things if you're not already following this process already.